He joins us now from Chicago. And Professor, good to have you with us. You know, one thing I wanted to ask you, I was curious about with this decline of 40%. Are you sure that didn't get skewed by some CEOs like, let's say, Vikram Pandit saying, I only want $1?
The fact is, average CEO pay, actually this year, when you look at this year's numbers, down by about 50% on average. Now, the median is down by less because of the skew that you mentioned, but the median is down just like the average.
Okay, so it's down?
Not as much, but it is down.
But is it close?
It's, you know, the median, I think, has gone down 20%.
Okay.
I think is something on that order.
Okay, so CEO pay has gone down because why? They're doing such a bad job?
I think part of the reason was that as CEO pay started going up in the 90s and to 2000, some of the option awards were too large, and they have been cut back some so that the big outlandish awards are gone. And I think now, in fact, you may have too much pressure on CEO pay, that there's this view that it keeps going up and up and up, and it's just not. And I think that can be harmful, actually.
Harmful because why?
I think you have, I mean, I can tell you I have some friends who could be Fortune 200 CEOs, and they will tell you it's just not worth it, and they're doing other things. And I think some of the best talent will choose to do other things, like being a hedge fund manager, rather than being a CEO if you put too much pressure on them. And I think Dodd-Frank continues that pressure, despite the fact that the CEOs have done a terrific job, particularly the last couple of years.
Really? But I mean, isn't this kind of, it's kind of like a survival of the fittest, isn't it not? I mean, it's shareholder activists becoming more, voicing their concerns even more. And maybe it's a sign, I would think, that the boards are getting better at their jobs. I mean, isn't that a good thing, actually? The
boards, I think that's a good point. Boards actually do a good job, despite what you read. If you look at actually CEOs being fired, CEOs who are in the bottom 20% of performance, don't last 5 years. Something like 60% of them are fired. Whereas if you're in the top 20% of performance, you last 5 years 80% of the time. So boards actually are doing a good job. So I'm just going to agree with you. Boards are doing a good job. CEOs are paid for performance. CEO pay has been going down, not up. And yet you still read, CEOs are, awful, boards are awful, and you get these attacks from activists when in fact the system is working.
Seems to be
pretty
working.
Well.
Okay, all right. Professor, good to get your view on this. Appreciate it. Professor Steve Kaplan of the University of Chicago.